Today I'm going to go ahead and do a comparison test of a Wolf River Coils antenna with the telescoping pole replaced by a 16-foot wire that I'm going to drape over a tree and hang up vertically on a tree. This is the setup that I've got. That's what I'm going to use to go ahead and drape the antenna over the tree, and that's my antenna right there. So that's the dog bone that's going to be at the very top, and that right there is going to connect to my Wolf River Coils. The Wolf River Coils antenna is right here next to a tree. I've got the 8-foot pole extended, and I'm going to do some tests with this configuration with my wire replacement for the pole draped over one of those branches up there. Now I am quite close to this one tree, but I don't think that's going to have too much of an effect, and we'll see if that has an effect. And at the very end, I'm going to also compare it to a DX Commander antenna that I've got on another part of the yard, and we'll see if this is a better configuration or equal or worse. We'll go ahead and let the data decide. So let's go ahead and use the yellow rope over there to go ahead and string up our wire element to replace this telescoping pole. So the weight has been strung across the tree up there. So now I'm going to go ahead and tie in this wire, this guy wire, this little string, so that I can raise my antenna element up to the very top there. Let's do a quick knot. And now, let's go ahead and raise it. This is the 16 feet antenna replacement. This is a 3/8 by 26 by 3/4 inch, and a couple of spacers there that are shimming the antenna. You just go ahead and tighten this up to the top of the Wolf River Coils. And now we're going to raise this up using our string. And now the element is actually stretched up and ready to go. All that remains to do is to tie this off to the side. And now essentially what we've done is we've replaced the telescoping pole with a wire antenna that is twice as long. This is the IC7300 transmitting a whisper signal at 5 watts on 20 meters. And we're going to go ahead and measure the number of contacts that we have in Whispernet with this antenna, which is a Wolf River Coils antenna, and it's the one that has the cable whip of 16 feet. So it's been tuned, and we'll see how many whisper contacts we get, and then we'll swap over to the next antenna. We've gone ahead and finished the first sweep of Whisper. And let's go ahead and go to whispernet.org and see what we have as far as contacts. We have 42 spots with the Wolf River Coils and the wire whip that is 16 feet in length. So we'll let this run a little bit, and then we'll swap over to the next antenna and do the same test. So that's after the third sweep. We notice here that the time shows 1638, and that's gone from 1618 to 1628 to 1638 in the whispernet.org database. So let's go ahead and do a refresh, do an update. Yep, 157 spots there. So since we have 157 spots, let's go ahead and change out the configuration of the antenna and see and repeat the test to see how the next antenna does. So this is the telescoping pole that comes with the Wolf River Coils. What we're going to do right now is go ahead and undo this and replace it with the regular telescoping pole. Okay, so the Wolf River Coils has now the original telescoping pole It's been extended all the way up, and we have the cable right here, which I'm going to pull over so as not to create any interference, and then we're going to see the whisper spots and see how they play out. Okay, so this is whispernet.org with the Wolf River coils and the telescoping pole that comes with it. So we see here that the timestamp starts at 1654, and then it goes on. There were actually two back-to-back cycles, so 1654 ends here and 1656 started here. That's because I'd clicked on transmit next. So they're back-to-back cycles, but still I'm getting 221 spots at this time. Let's go ahead and do a refresh on the database, update. Yep, 221 spots with the Wolf River coils and its original telescoping pole. That is about 8 feet long as opposed to the 16-foot wire that we were using just a minute ago. So we'll come back onto this after one more cycle, and that'll be 3 cycles for one variation of the antenna and 3 cycles for the second variation of the antenna. Okay, this third sweep of the Wolf River Coils TIA 1000 antenna with the telescoping pole that comes by default with the antenna has been done. So right now we're getting 271 spots. That's 271. Let's do a refresh right quick. Yep, 271 spots at 1718. So let's see where we go next. This is the DX Commander antenna that we're basing our comparison on. We have 4 antenna elements deployed, but we're only going to be looking at the 20-meter element and see how it's working. It goes all the way up until somewhere up in that area. We've gone ahead and changed over to the last antenna that we're going to test, and this is the DX Commander Classic, and it is connected out back in the yard, and we're starting with 271 spots. Yep, 271 spots is our starting point. I've clicked enable on Whisper, and we're again doing 5 watts. This is again the DX Commander Classic. So we're going to go ahead and give it 3 sweeps and see how it works on 20 meters. The antenna has been tuned, so let's do some data acquisition. So this is the third sweep of the DX Commander Classic antenna on Whisper. So again, Whisper has been running at 5 watts, and we're using the DX Commander Classic. It's showing 406 spots total, but of course we're going to have to subtract the previous runs from the other antennas. But if we do an update just to refresh, we are definitely getting 406 spots. In other words, no late coming spots have come in. So with all of this data, we should be able to make some heads or tails about which antenna seems to be doing the best. Now we understand that the antennas are going to have a difference because they're not simultaneous tests, but this is actually what we do in the field. We try one antenna, see if it works, and then go with another antenna and try and see if we get better or worse results. So having said that, we have 406 spots for the DX Commander Classic, and this is going to be the end of our data acquisition run. This is the analysis of the data gathered earlier today of 2 configurations of the Wolf River Coils TIA 1000 antenna and a DX Commander Classic, just as a reference. So what we have here is the Wolf River Coils TIA 1000 coil antenna with its stock 8-foot telescoping pole. And we got 114 contacts. When you normalize that per minute, that's a counts per minute of 4.75. And we're going to call that our baseline, or 100%. So then when we go over here to the data gathered for the Wolf River Coils TIA 1000, but with a 16-foot wire element this time, we note that we got 157 contacts, but of course the important number is the counts per minute, the normalized counts, and that's 7.85. That is a very interesting 65% better
than the stock element of the Wolf River Coils, which got a 4.75. Again, 7.85 with the 16-foot wire element, 4.75 with the 8-foot telescoping pole. And we also had in the yard the DX Commander Classic. So with that one, we got 135 contacts for a normalized count of 6.75 counts per minute, or a 42% improvement of our baseline. So again, our baseline shows 4.75 counts per minute, and for the DX Commander, 6.75. So that's better than the 8-foot telescoping pole and the Wolf River Coils. But note over here that this improvement, this experiment that we were doing, which is using the 16-foot wire element, seems to be the best choice of all. The problem with this for me is that this is going to be a no-go as it is, because when I go on POTA activations, I don't want to go ahead and put anything on the trees. I just don't want to get any comments from the park ranger, so that's a personal decision. But if I was to go ahead and set this up on private property or in my own yard, the 16-foot wire element definitely seems to be an interesting way to go. And one last thing is the shout out to Mike, K8MRD, for motivating this work. He did a similar comparison replacing a stock pole for an antenna that he had on his car. It was also a coil antenna. It was not the Wolf River Coils, but it was a coil antenna that he had on his car, and he replaced the stock pole with a longer pole that he got, I believe, from MFJ. So definitely there's something to be said for more wire or more antenna element as far as reception.
Final observation, this is the IC7300 showing the Wolf River Coils with a 16-foot wire element. Then we switch over to the DX Commander, and this is what the DX Commander looks on the IC7300. This is the Wolf River Coils with a 16-element wire. This is the DX Commander antenna. And that is the Wolf River Coils to finish up.